One of the coolest things about Frederick County is it's full of amazing people. That is one thing Good Morning Frederick has taught me over a year and a half so far. And Andy Moss is I'm telling you, this is very, very cool. I want to welcome you to Good Morning Frederick, Andy, and you're from Frederick Dream Lab.
That's right. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the program today.
Okay, this is cool because we all always talk about, oh my gosh, I had the craziest dream. And a lot of us go to the internet and say, what does it mean when I'm running with scissors or I'm falling and I'm waking up? Or I saw an ex boyfriend in that I haven't seen for 30 years. Is this really kind of what you guys delve into for people?
I would say yes, and right. So yes, absolutely. We all have dreams like that. That we can't help but feel curious about what does it mean when I see my ex in a dream, or what does it mean that my teeth are falling out, right? That kind of thing. The thing that I love about getting together a group of people is that you can really dive into the individual meaning of a dream for each person, right? So somebody's teeth are falling out in a dream, that can mean a lot of different things depending on the person. Like maybe they need to consider getting dentures, right?
Yeah, yeah. It could be
It,
literal, right?
right?
Or it
It
could
could
be
be literal.
figurative. Right,
Yeah,
right.
but a lot of the time it has more to do with some important aspect of their life. And we can sit down and discuss that, whether one on one or as part of a group of people who are really supportive and just really curious about what those individual symbols mean for individual people.
Yeah, and the group thing really, I mean, obviously, unless it's something very, very personal, but I think people would go, "Oh yeah, that's kind of I've had that too," or they have their own personal spin on something like that. How long have you been studying dreams or the meanings of people's dreams?
Yeah, I think I really started getting curious about dreams in college, in my college years. So, about 15 years ago, I started to experience some of my first lucid dreams. So, the dreams where you know within the dream that you are dreaming. And some of those experiences just kind of came about naturally. And at that point, I was like, wow, I'm in this other world, and what's possible within that world. And what can you actually do with it, and like you said, what are some of these symbols mean, like on a
Yeah.
cultural basis and on a personal basis. So I got really curious there, and it's just kind of blossomed over the years. It's certainly taken time, but as I've learned more and more, I've just become more and more curious about what would it mean to kind of take that to a group of people,
Yeah.
to build out that network, to see how people in real life sitting down across from you, and not necessarily always through a screen, can relate to each other talking about these super weird and strange and personal
Yeah.
experiences, right?
Yeah, and in a group, really, I mean, getting that moral support from your peers is
Yeah.
sometimes really all you need, even if you can't actually put your finger on, I'm sure, the meaning, or it doesn't ring, if you don't feel like it may ring true. Just having that moral support, I think, is awesome. So you're doing a couple workshops coming up here soon. So tell me a little bit about them and how they work.
Yeah, so coming up, we have an offering. It's called Dream Seed. It's a two-part workshop. It'll be on Sunday, October 19th, and then a follow-up on, I believe it's November 3rd, 2 Sundays, 2 weeks apart. So basically, the first workshop will dive into dream incubation, which is all about inviting a dream, inviting maybe like uh, asking a question about what part of my life needs healing, or how can I bring myself differently to this problem, inviting a certain type of dream from the unconscious, and then really holding that intention close as you go to sleep. And then when you wake up, just kind of write down and reflect on that dream experience. So that's the very kind of short summary of dream incubation. We
Yeah.
learn all sorts of techniques and ways of bringing dream incubation practice into our lives.
So that's really interesting, and we'll talk about the second part first. But
Sure.
really, so you can or we can invite dreams to happen, so you can be conscious when you go to sleep, thinking about something in particular, which would invite that to come about.
Yeah, so a lot of research points to this idea that we dream about the things that are important in our lives, and
Yeah, that I
we don't
guess that
just
makes sense, of course,
truly,
yeah.
right? And shout out to Deirdre Barrett. She wrote the book Committee of Sleep, a Harvard researcher who kind of studied this phenomenon extensively. I think the statistic that she came to find was that in a dream incubation practice, even just doing this once, not over a sustained period of time, dreamers who tried out this incubation practice, two-thirds of them dreamt something about the topic that they kind of put into the world within their intention. And a third of the dreamers actually came up with a solution, quote unquote, to their problem. They came up with actually, beneficial results in their lives.
That
So,
is unreal. But,
yeah.
the mind, the brain, the power of it is just it's so incredible, and that I know we only tap into such a small percentage. It's very, very cool, and what a great environment to be able to do this in. So that's part 1, you kinda given this task for this first workshop, and then you do that for the couple of weeks, and then you come back for the second part?
Yeah, so then the idea is spend a little bit of time. I understand that everybody has a full life, so what they can bring to this practice over the 2 weeks in between the workshops, great. We'll work with that. And then the second part is learning some techniques for what's called dream embodiment or imaginal embodiment. And basically, what that is all about is, and it's actually a lot easier to do within a group setting than it is to do one on one or even just by yourself. But basically, you re experience the dream environment and then kind of really grasp onto somatic cues within the dream, what our body is experiencing, what emotions are coming up, and how you can physically feel them. Because that's what's happening in a dream. We're surrounded by a full on environment that's entirely imaginal, but real at that time. It's real within the dream.
Right.
And some of the research behind dreams has really borne out that dreaming is a feeling based and a body based experience. Our limbic system is highly active during this period of our lives when we're dreaming. And so it seems that if we're going to take any sort of message from a dream, we should incorporate how it feels within the dream,
Yeah.
what it is that we're experiencing, and then learning a little bit of how we can take away that experience and add it to a meditation practice, a mindfulness practice, a spiritual practice to carry with us through the rest of our lives.
That's so, so fascinating, actually. This is very, very cool. So we're gonna obviously make sure people know all about the 2-day 2-part conference that's gonna happen coming up here soon. But outside of that, how do you work with groups of people, or do people contact you individually? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'm a therapist by trade. And I do work with clients who are open to discussing their dreams. I have within my therapy practice, that's part of what I do. I also meet with clients just individually one on one if they prefer not to kind of engage in the full therapy practice, but
Yeah.
would just prefer to kind of engage in more dream work. Yep.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Is
Yeah.
there a way to train your brain to remember things better?
Yeah, absolutely. The number one practice that seems to help is journaling, is
Okay.
is writing down. Even if you don't remember your dream in the morning, set the intention. I'm going to remember my dream before you go to sleep. And then when you wake up, spend a little bit of time in that kind of hazy in between space between waking up and fully going about your day, just to explore. If you can grab onto a little bit of a dream fragment and pull it out, just write down what you remember for the moment.
Yeah.
And it could even be, I didn't remember my dream last night, but I will remember the next night. It
Yeah.
does miracles, even just kind of starting a practice at that level.
Yeah, that is so, so wonderful. All right. Well, we are definitely going to have you back on. I'm going to have to reach out to you again, but certainly we want to make sure anyone who's interested can sign up for the workshop. I'll make sure the details are on screen. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to hang out with us today. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, really enjoyed being here today. And thank you, Dani.